I call to order the Charter Township Board of Trustees regular meeting, Wednesday, April 13th, 2022. Let's please all rise, remove your hats, and pay respects to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Thank you. Noting of the roll.
Noted, there is a full quorum of the board.
Thank you. Okay, with the approval of the agenda, I'd like to amend the agenda and remove item 13B from the agenda.
I'll make the motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari, a second by Trustee Colvin.
It's a 13C.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, hearing none. Approval of the consent agenda.
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. I have a motion from Treasurer Ferrari, a second by Trustee Nold. Any questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Colvin. Aye. Trustee Payne. Yes. Trustee Nold.
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Supervisor Curtis.
Yes. Okay. Public comment on items not on the agenda. Is there any members of the public that would like to speak on items that are not on the agenda? Yes, ma'am. Please state your name, address, and I can give you 3 minutes to talk.
Thanks. I picked a fun night to come. I wasn't paying attention. I had no idea this was going on. But anyway, my name is Jennifer Prather. I live at 14 Pontiac Street, and I'm here today just to ask the Township Board to follow suit with regard to copying or making your own resolution with regard to either safe storage of firearms or at least a measure similar to what the Village of Oxford did. Their resolution 20,022-02 is called Call on Elected Leaders to Draft Measures to Restrict Access to Firearms Among Unsupervised Minors and on School Grounds. And I would just love to work with you if I could to get the Township Board to do something similar. As you know, the Oxford High School is in the Township proper, and I just think it would mean the world to the school board and the families and the children if you could do something similar. And that's it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else in the public that would like to speak on items not on the agenda?
Good evening, Brian Cloutier, Director, Oxford Public Library. There's a lot of things I want to share with you tonight, but I'm not going to because of the size of the group. But most importantly, I just wanted to come here and say thank you to the Township for helping us support the purchase of the Foundation Directory online. Your support, along with the generous support of the 4-County Community Foundation, made the purchase possible, and we greatly appreciate that. My staff and I are going to be going through some training on how to adequately use the software. Once we've completed that process, we're going to welcome you to the table so that we can train you as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Any other members of the public wish to speak on items not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on. Item 7. This is a public hearing for the North Area Sanitary Sewer Special Assessment District. Attorney Rentrop, we'll use Gary.
Okay. Gary Rentrop, Oxford Township Attorney. As the board knows, we're in the process of developing a special assessment district to go up M24 to service properties that are currently not serviced. and also to service properties are serviced now, but are, because of failed sewer lines, will not be serviced in the future. So it addresses a need for sewer along M24 going north. On August 13th, 2022, we had the first public hearing on this, and there's a requirement that we follow a series of public hearings under the SAD ordinance. That public hearing addresses the improvements that we've described in the resolution, which I've provided to the Township Board, that describes the improvements to be made. The Township has received over 50% of the property owners that would be serviced by this line, new property owners that would be serviced by this line, and that therefore allows the SAD process to go forward, and we're going forward with that process. The plans and estimates of the costs at this point in time are estimated to be $2,825,000. Those estimates were developed by Township Engineer Jim Sharp and financial consultant Paul Stoddard. There will be bonds issued to support these costs that will be payable over a period of years. The land that is being serviced by this line will act as a security for the payment of these bond obligations. The property owners will pay for these obligations. There will be no costs other than a contribution by the township initially toward the process. The parcels are described that are being serviced are described on Exhibit B. The request is that the township supervisor is hereby directed to cause more detailed plans to be prepared and to have necessary governmental approvals to be obtained and more accurate estimates on the costs. As mentioned, these were estimated costs, and now we're going to be refining those costs. The township shall have completed the special assessment role at this time, and at that time, and then shall affix a certificate stating that the role is certified. I've presented you with a special assessment resolution number 2, and if it meets with your approval, I would suggest a resolution.
First, we have to have the public hearing to ask our folks
Right.
about that. I move to open the public hearing at 6:37 PM to discuss the establishment of the M24 sewer line construction special assessment district.
Second.
Moved by Treasurer Ferrari, seconded by Trustee Payne. Roll call?
Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Trustee Colvin.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Supervisor Curtis.
Yes.
And Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Okay. Are there any members in the public that wish to address the North Area Sanitary Sewer Special Assessment District that was just described by Attorney Gary Rentrop?
I move to close the public hearing at 6:38 PM to discuss the establishment of the M24 sewer line construction special assessment district.
Second.
Moved by Treasurer Ferrari, seconded by Trustee Noel. Are there any questions? Seeing none, roll call?
Supervisor Curtis.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Trustee Colvin.
All right, moving on. First reading, 8A, International Property Maintenance Code, Ordinance 138. Attorney Gary Rentrop and Building Official Tim London. If you have, go up here and give us a talk.
Gary Rentrop, Oxford Township Attorney. Tim London and Tim brought these International Property Maintenance Code to the township. He was formerly with Orion, as you know, and he likes working with it. It's a lengthy code. It's excess of 70 pages. It deals with virtually everything, but he's familiar with it. He likes to work with it. It was originally suggested that we might just adopt the code by reference, and I reviewed the code and believed there needed to be a number of changes to the code to be compatible with existing ordinance, particularly be compatible with existing ordinances on the township books. I can walk through it if you would like. I did provide you with a red line copy with suggested changes and my reasons for suggesting those changes.
Board members, do you have any questions?
I have a quick question.
Yes, sir, Trustee Charles, you can ask me.
Okay, so on the, in the agenda there, on the document that the attorney's referencing, I need a little explanation of rubbish. You talk about something in somebody's front yard and potential fines or notices, or how does that work?
Tim, address rubbish.
Rubbish would be not garbage, but other items like used refrigerators, washing machines, stuff like that, that people just have in the yards and they just sit there for days and weeks at a time. You know, basically items like that that would be needed to be taken care of, that we can send notice and tell them that they need to be removed from the property.
Is there a timeline for somebody, is it somebody calling the township offices and then so many days that go on, or what? How's that work? What's the protocol?
Well, let me ask this question. Currently, right now, Oxford Township sends out a series of letters. Letter 1, Letter 2, Letter 3, Letter 4, and it falls back on us to keep going and begging and asking. Tim, what does the International Property Maintenance Code do for us? Gary, Tim?
Glenn, do you want to do it?
Well, the process that we would adopt or use would be, we would send a notice and give them, say, like 10 days to remove it from the property. If they don't, well, then at that point in time, we would send a second notice and say, look, this is your final notice. We need to remove this from the property, or we don't have a choice. We can then issue a municipal infraction ticket at that time and resolve the matter through district court.
Did that help you, Red?
Yes.
Trustee Charles?
Yep.
Yeah,
Any
we've
other
done,
questions?
oops, sorry. We've done a lot to try to streamline things because Supervisor Curtis is correct. With all the number of notices that went out, a lot of time would slip by, and sometimes the violation would slip by. So what has happened now is Tim London has been brought on. He will see that that gets prosecuted, and they'll be working with an attorney different than me who is in district court frequently, and he'll be able to tack that on to his other agenda. So I think this will help a lot.
Okay, any other questions?
I move to set a second reading and possible adoption of the International Property Maintenance Code Ordinance 138 at the May 11th, 2022 Charter Township of Oxford Board of Trustees meeting.
I'll second
Second.
that.
Okay, I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari, a second by Trustee Charles. Are there any questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Supervisor Curtis.
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Trustee Colvin.
All right. Item 8B, actually it's 8B and C are together on this. Ordinance is number 132.001, medical marijuana facilities. And ordinance 67A.028, medical marijuana. I'm gonna ask Attorney Hans Rentrop and myself to address this concern, and then we'll have some comments.
Good afternoon, Hans Rintrop, Atkinson, Allen and Rintrop, attorney special counsel on this particular matter for the township. Before you tonight are two ordinances, one for consideration tonight and one is for reference primarily. The first ordinance is Code Ordinance Amendment 132.001, which is amendment to the Code of Ordinances to address licensing of medical marijuana facilities, which are commercial marijuana facilities. The second is the zoning ordinance amendment 67A-028, which is an ordinance would be amendment to an ordinance. The Planning Commission considered an ordinance of this nature back in January. However, since that time, there have been additional changes in law that have caused us to want to rethink and remodify the language of that ordinance. So it's being provided to you for reference tonight. That ordinance will have to go back before the Planning Commission, but instead of wasting time, Planning Commission's time, I thought the prudent thing to do, and Supervisor Curtis agreed, was to present the general principle of whether there should be medical marijuana facilities allowed within the township. So if they move forward with the ordinance tonight, the code amendment tonight, it would be a two-part motion. One, to approve the Code of Ordinance Amendment for second reading, and the second part would be to refer the revised zoning ordinance back to the Planning Commission for further review. So as I said, the main question before the Township Board tonight is, does the township want to have medical marijuana facilities, which are commercial marijuana medical facilities within the township? The ordinance before you contemplates three types of facilities at present, which is being proposed. That includes a provisioning center, a grow operation, and secure transporters. There are 5 licenses allowed under the Medical Marijuana Facilities Licensing Act. Those are the 3 that have been selected as a starting point. There are a lot of information in both of these ordinances. I'm sure they're probably a bit overwhelming. I've made an attempt to summarize it in a letter to you, but it's quite frankly just overwhelming to try to do. I think I just end up providing the ordinance again to you. So I think the way I'm going to handle this is provide you a quick background on the acts and the ordinances associated with it, and then let you ask questions. As a starting point, there are 3 acts dealing with marijuana. The first is the 2008 Michigan Medical Marijuana Act. This was a voter-initiated legislation. It is referred to as patients and patient caregivers. And that act only contemplated non-commercial activities between a patient, which could have up to 12 plants, or a patient caregiver, which could have up to 12 plants for each patient. They could have up to 5 patients, so it was 72 plants. The second act was the 2016 Medical Marijuana Facilities Licensing Act. That is the act we're considering tonight, or the licenses that we'll be considering tonight. That act was legislatively initiated and has several parts, again, to allow commercial medical marijuana. The idea was that after the 2008 act, that the state should be looking at how this could be regulated in a more commercial availability, because actually the original 2008 act didn't contemplate how you'd get the seeds to grow the marijuana, so it was kind of a stopgap measure. And of course, the last act, which you're probably familiar with, is the 2018 voter-initiated act, which is the Michigan Regulation and Taxation of Marijuana Act, or MRTMA, which is the recreational act. To be clear, that is not before the Township Board tonight. The current status of the township at this point in time is that it regulates marijuana to in my opinion, the greatest extent possible. Medical marijuana facilities are not permitted within the township. It is opted out, is not opted into that. Recreational facilities are not allowed in the township. That is not opted out of that act. And the Medical Marijuana Act, the 2008 Act, is established, but what we've done currently is that anyone seeking to grow more than 12 marijuana plants must do so in an industrial district. And there's case law that came down in, I think it was 2019, that said you could zone marijuana growing. So that's where the township stands now. So the question, again, going back initially, is what tonight's contemplates is should you have these 3 types of medical marijuana facilities? Again, these are medical facilities. The idea in part behind it, you'll have the growers, and the idea behind that in part is to move it out of residential districts and other areas that may not be suitable for growing, and put it in industrial districts as a special land use permit, subject to review by the Township Board. The second one is the secured transporter. These are operators that move marijuana and money around associated with it. And what you're doing, if you would approve the ordinance tonight, you would allow a licensing of such facilities in an industrial district subject to a special land use permit and subject to review per the standards of the ordinance that are provided. And the third one, and of probably most interest to everyone, is the provisioning centers. The provisioning centers would also require a license from the Township Board, again, subject to the review as provided in the proposed ordinance. Additionally, it would be a special land use as well, located within generally commercial districts. However, it would be subject to the medical marijuana overlay district. So there are 4 proposed medical marijuana overlay districts within the zoning ordinance, and so the idea would be to have one provisioning center in each one of those districts. The way it's set up with the separation requirements and the overlays, they can put those in that location. So to clarify again, what you have before you is the code amendments, which is just a licensing ordinance. So anyone who comes down and wants to get to operate one of these facilities would have to receive a license from the Township Board, subject to the conditions of that ordinance. There are application requirements, there are review requirements, there are inspection requirements by police, fire, the Treasurer's Department for tax purposes, etc. And then it would be, again, come before the Township Board to do that. The process for getting a license would be followed this way. If someone was interested in getting a license, the first step would be to go before the Planning Commission with the property that they've selected to see if they are eligible for that use of that property. They would have to apply for a special land use permit from the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission would have a hearing on that, review the special land use permit, and if approved, would then grant the approval. It would then become before the Township Board for consideration of the license. Well, actually, the Township Board would then review it based upon the criteria presented to it. If approved by the Township Board, the Township Board would approve it on the condition that a state license would also be issued. So the state also has to license. So many of the criteria that are set forth in the ordinance are also state criteria as well. So it's mirrored. So you have the same information the state would have and a few other additional information as well. So that's the sort of rundown of where we are now. At this point in time, I think it's easiest if I just accept any questions that you have and do my best to answer those. Like I said, I know it's a lot, so.
Okay, should I go with the public first? Yeah. I think I'm gonna go with the public questions and comments first, but let me tell you folks, I can read your shirts. I understand, I'm a pretty smart guy, getting old and, this comes with age. If someone comes up to the lectern to talk support or against, you're limited to 3 minutes. And I'm gonna ask that you don't come up if you're gonna say the same thing the person in front of you said. It looks like there's about 50 people, 3 minutes apiece, 150 minutes. I don't have that much time, but I want to hear everything you say, and I want you to support each other. So listen, if you come up to the mic to say something, please don't come up here and embarrass yourselves and say the same thing the person behind you said. You might want to clap, you might want to stand up, you might want to give some sort of support to the person, but if you're going to say the same thing, take your time and sit down. We had 12 people talk last week. Last month it was 36 minutes. It drug out a meeting that would have been 30 minutes long. We want to hear what you say, so say it, but please don't come up if you're going to say something the person in front of you just said. So to that, Hans, I'll have the members of the audience that have something to say or comment about come up to the lectern, state your name and address, and give us your public comment on this topic. I see a hand back there. Come on up.
Hello. Excuse me, I have a note here. Okay, my name is Terry Holycross. My address is 258 Ridgemont Road in Oxford. I recently heard about the potential of following a medical marijuana dispensary in the township of Oxford. I felt obligated to be here today to express my overwhelming support. It has come up in numerous discussions between myself, family members, and my friends, and clearly the support is additionally shown in our community and voiced through the majority of our voters. We need to be mindful of those in our community who suffer from physical and health-related problems, who have no desire to get high, but use and are entitled to access basic pain relief and the benefits of medical products. Allowing these ordinances will give medical patients a safe place to get the support they need. They will also make sure that the community is receiving quality legal products. Additionally, the passing of the ordinance will ensure that cannabis is in the right hands and reduce black market sales, keeping marijuana off our streets. I would also much rather stay in my own town and have my tax dollars go to support our local needs. I highly urge you to consider all of those in your own town that have found relief with this medication, and I thank you for your time today. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
My name is Nicholas Nimo. I live at 818 Pine Ridge Avenue in Oxford. I'm here today to express my support for the consideration to allow medical marijuana in the Township of Oxford. I feel that a lot of previous negative data surrounding the topic has been emotionally driven by the select few individuals who were opposed to the passing of the ordinance. I think we need to take a step back and remember that respectfully, your vote should not be based on your personal opinion. As a representative of the township, you should be considering the facts and the data shown. An overwhelming majority of the residents have voted and approved the sale of medical marijuana. Over 11,000 Oxford residents, which is 2/3 of the local voting population, voted in favor of medical marijuana sales. I feel that it is important to recognize these medical marijuana locations will only be selling tested and licensed products, just as other businesses do on M24. Local drugstores like Rite Aid sell prescription drugs, and numerous other businesses sell beer, wine, liquor, along with cigarettes. In the eyes of the law, and clearly by the data received from the Oxford voters, there is no longer a difference. Again, I urge you to pass the ordinance allowing medical marijuana to be sold in the Township of Oxford. Thank you for your consideration.
Anyone else wish to come and speak in favor of or in conjunction of? Yes, sir. Name and address, please.
Thank you. Andy Burbage, 810 Waters Meet, Oxford. I'll try my best to filter out things that have already been said to speed things up. Medical marijuana should no longer be weighed down by antiquated stigma of bygone eras. It should be embraced, overwhelmingly supported by the rapidly growing number of Oxford Township, Michigan residents, as has been noted. It's also important to recognise that it's recreational. Medical marijuana is recreational. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm nervous. Medical marijuana is no longer a fringe or underground medical. I apologise.
Take a deep breath.
Medical marijuana is no longer a fringe or underground medical belief, and the benefits are now irrefutable, massively peer-reviewed and globally recognised, making it a credible and sometimes only method of treatment for a wide range of illnesses and diseases, from pain relief for the terminally ill, assistance for treatable illnesses, and relief for a myriad of physiological and psychological afflictions. These people are not just numbers or statistics or news articles. They live amongst us, our family members, our friends, neighbours, parents, Little League team members, all fellow Oxford residents. And it's our obligation to do what we can to allow them the chance to live their normal lives, or somewhat normal, and giving them a chance to be all they can be. I urge you to stand on the right side of history and not be someone who dismisses or judges someone because of hyperbole and old-fashioned rhetoric and fear. I implore you to look within your hearts and legitimise and legalise medical marijuana in the township, moving it into the open and out of the shadows and the hands of criminals. Let the people of Oxford Township and its elected representatives be forward-thinking and passionate community, doing what they can to help those of their residents, neighbours and friends. Your trustees, we've entrusted you with doing what's right, so please do what's right this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public like to speak? Yes, sir.
Thank you. Make it quick. My name's Tom George. I live at 1963 Turnberry Court. I'm here today to express my support of this ordinance. There's been some talk in the community, members concerned about the traffic impacts on M24. I found this is odd, as M24 is already an incredibly busy road. It's hard to imagine that medical dispensary would cause any disruption to current traffic patterns or flow. I did a little research, and I did learn that dispensaries that are actually that dispensaries actually do not draw traffic from surrounding areas. Studies show that customers shop in their own communities. I don't know about you, but personally, I wouldn't travel outside of a 3-mile radius for prescription. If it was CVS or Rite Aid. Also, do not do any. Also, not only do shoppers stay local, many dispensaries offer delivery services that additionally reduce traffic going in and out of these facilities. I think that having dispensaries in the township along M24 makes way more sense. Moving to industrial zones could result in the loss of displacement of existing industrial businesses, like what happened in the village of Oxford. I believe as many as 4 businesses were forced to relocate. So anyways, I just want to say thank you for having me up here. I support the ordinance because it will redevelop an underdeveloped area within the village. So that's it. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Any other members of the public have some other things that may have been left out? Yes, sir.
Yeah, hi. John Fredericks, 1440 Spruce, Oxford. I just want to share a little story with everyone. My mother, she was in her mid-80s, went to the hospital, got a hip replacement. They started her out on Vicodins, then she went to Oxycontin, and eventually went to morphine. If she would have had something like this, an alternative that she could have turned to, she might be still living today, because as it progressed, they couldn't get her off the morphine because she was too fragile and she was too addicted to the morphine to take her off and switch her to cannabis. So she continued on the morphine, and eventually she died of a morphine overdose. So I just want to share that with, give a little insight on how things went with my family. And I think if this would have been around, she wanted to do it, but at the time it was going on, it wasn't readily available for her to get. So I hope you guys can consider that when you're making your decision. Thank you.
Any topic we haven't touched on that the audience would like to comment on? I think I can read your shirts enough. Okay. Board members, I'll entertain questions. Start down there with Catherine. Catherine, do you have any questions? I'm sorry.
I think all my questions have been answered. Thank you.
Okay. Trustee Payne?
Nope, I've done my homework.
Trustee Nold?
I have 3 issues I'd like to bring in regards to this. In the ordinance in 1448 talks
The
about
zoning ordinance or the
code.
The code, okay.
That's what we're talking about right now, the code. There's 3 topics that I'd like to address. The first one is topic A under 14.48. An unlimited number of growers, Class A and Class B license in our district. I think we need to put a cap on that. I would suggest possibly 3 if the board would like to entertain that. The second one is up to 4 provisioning centers licensed. We have the districts. I would suggest 3 of those as well, with 1 of them being omitted. I would suggest the far north be omitted for the provisioning center. And C, I would go along with 3 for the secure transportation licenses. That would help the growers in item A of Class A and B. Those are the only comments I have, sir.
Joe?
No, I'm all set.
Treasurer Ferrari, I'm sorry.
Sorry. No, I'm all set.
Trustee Charles?
Hi. A couple of questions here. First of all, like what Mr. Nold was saying, Trustee Nold. Secondly, you mentioned application requirements in your presentation. Could you define what some of those would be?
Sure.
Examples, for example.
Well,
Examples, for example.
Of course, I understand. Yeah, I mean, obviously, in addition to the sort of the usual information that you might expect to have it receiving age, dress, stuff like that, we're also going to be looking at things like how much is the percentage of managerial interest? We want to make sure we look at each person who has an interest in the operation being involved. We want to look, it's proposed to look at, get a signed release from the Sheriff's Department for a background investigation. We're going to look at all the corporate structures, so if it's a limited liability company, a corporation, sole partnership, or partnership, who all is involved with the operation, so we have an idea of who's going to be operating it, and hopefully know that it's a good operator. We're going to look at if they've done this sort of activity in the past. Have they applied for permits before? Have they received permits before in other communities at the state level? You're going to want to look at the security associated with the facility, the storage facilities associated with the facility, how you can handle the marijuana that's not being used. If it's a grower, for example, there's a lot of debris that comes out of a growing operations. What's going to be done with it? Where is it going to be stored? How is it going to be managed? There's a tracking requirement that's actually state regulated, but it should be provided to the township as part of the application of the process as well. A description of what's being done there. Obviously, construction layout of the facility, confirmation of special land use approval by the Planning Commission, description of how the facility will benefit the township. I think it's important to look at, and as case law has developed, in fact, as recently as last week, there was a decision that came down not on medical marijuana facilities, but on the MRTMA that said that, what the impact of the township is a legitimate concern for the township to consider in granting a license application.
Hans, is that the Pinckney case?
Yes, it is. Correct. Description of financial history of the applicant, making sure that they have the sufficient funds to do it, as well as be able to get the necessary insurance that's required for it.
I want to interject, but
Yeah.
Mr. Varry said too, one of the things on the Pinckney case I noticed is that they had a residency requirement.
Yes.
What's your thought about that for Oxford?
Your ordinance does not contemplate that, and I don't think, based upon my reading of that case, I don't think you want to include that insurance requirement. I don't think that is a requirement that would hold up. And I think you have a number of other elements. One of it is new build, which is something that the Pinckney case also dealt with, which is they did find was legitimate, and I think those are the kind of things you need to focus on.
Didn't they find the residency legitimate too? Or did I misread that?
No, the residency was not considered legitimate. They based upon that on a constitutional issue on the internet transport, the Commerce Clause, and found that it was disparaging to out-of-state or non-local people, and it was discriminatory in that regards. So they found that the residency was not an applicable. Now, I think you do sort of address it in this ordinance and saying, what is the business relationship with the community? In other words, have you been in business with the community before? Have you done business? What is your proposed, operation going to be? But I don't think you can specifically say you have to be a Commerce resident, or excuse me, an Oxford resident to be in get a license. I think that would go too far.
Any other questions?
Let's see. Nope, that's it.
Okay, Clerk Wright.
Yeah, I'm more on the technical end of it, so if the board's inclined to listen to what I have to say, then I'm gonna say it.
You got?
All right. Going to on this ordinance here, because if we're gonna consider approving this, I want to get some things straight in my mind.
Sure.
On this, number one, on the bottom of page 5. Go up to that.
Ted?
Page number?
Page 5.
Page 125 of the electronic version. And at item 13, you indicate that not less than $100,000 of medical marijuana facility insurance coverage. Is that enough coverage?
That is provided as, I don't know, is the short answer to that. That was taken from, I believe, it was either the state act or another municipality that adopted that number. So the short answer is that I don't know.
And I'm wondering too if we can put in the definitions of a Class A and Class B grower.
Yes, we could.
That's further defined.
Yes, we could.
On that. And then on page 6, section 14-49, subsection C.
Page.
Will be page 126. It indicates that a license issued by the township pursuant to this article is a revocable privilege granted by the township and is not a property right. Granting a license does not create or vest any right, title, franchise, or other property interest. A licensee or other person shall not lease, pledge, or borrow or loan money against a licensee. How would we know if they're doing that activity or not?
You wouldn't unless they would disclose to or it came about it through an investigation process, okay? But that is important language, in my opinion, to have in there. Because one of the issues that was associated in the Walled Lake case that came down since the Planning Commission reviewed the zoning ordinance, which is why we're doing the changes, is that they found that you do not have a property right in an application. So that gives great discretion to the municipality on what criteria to apply and how to select a licensee for that license. So we want to make it clear in an ordinance that you do not have a property right until you get the license. And I think that's very important to have in there.
All right, going on the next page, section 14-50, subsection 4. It talks about a registered agent right here. Is that the applicant?
It could be, it may not be. So a corporation might have its, as its president or its chief chief operating officer. But a resident agent can be a corporation company. It can be anybody. It can be an attorney. So that we're trying to get to the bottom of everything.
And then on page 8, which would be page 128, a lot of the items here indicate a description, but it doesn't indicate any submission of like a detailed floor plan. Is the description actually an overview of the facility?
That is language that you could beef up. I would anticipate that you're going to have that kind of description in the zoning ordinance application. So when they're going for a special land use permit before the Planning Commission, they're going to provide a site plan description and everything else associated with it. And as part of their application requirements, they're going to have to provide that information as well.
Let's see here. In the review section, section 14-52, it's on pages 9 and 10 of the ordinance, and also page 129, 130. If an applicant is rejected and there's other applicants that are waiting, does that applicant go to the back of the line, so to speak, or do they get preferential treatment because their application was not complete, but they're still wanting to get a license?
I think the way I would handle is you have a 14-day window in which to apply. I think you would grant the applicant that is defective that 14-day window in which to correct the defection. If that is not done, I think then they follow the back of the line.
So does that need to be inserted into the?
Yeah, we can add clarifying language to that effect.
So that way there. And then the 14 days, is that calendar or business days?
We can clarify that as well.
Okay. Okay. Let's see here. Going down for ventilation, how can you confirm proper ventilation?
That is another provision that I took from another ordinance, I'll be honest with you. One of the problems that you have in a lot of these facilities is that even for the workers themselves, if it's a grow facility, the air becomes very stagnant in there. I know that the facilities, most of the sophisticated facilities have very sophisticated air ventilation treatment systems, so that not only is the air good on the inside, but you're not smelling it down the street. And I know some communities where that does happen. So the treatment of the air quality and the odor associated with marijuana and grow operations is a critical factor. My understanding is these standards can be identified through the building and engineering groups.
Okay, all right. And I don't know if this is listed or not. On a side note, if there's windows on the building itself, are they allowed to be opened up, or is that something that would be determined by zoning ordinance or by this code?
So right now, the zoning ordinance contemplates no windows, and that was a discussion that Supervisor Kurz and I had earlier, saying that we may want to tweak that and revise that as well. I would think that it might be appropriate to have windows in at least some of the buildings. You might limit to what you can see in and out of them, so that you're not looking at certain things you may not want to have out there. And as far as opening and closing windows, sitting here now, it's not something I've considered, but I would think you'd want to have them closed again, just mainly for security's sake. This is a valuable product, and so you want to protect it.
Okay.
I've addressed that for the zoning ordinance to allow windows and the inclusion of natural light within the facilities. Section 5.35E.1.b should be revised to allow for windows, but not allow for any cannabis products to be visible from the outside. So I can include odor.
Next question is investigations. It indicates that the township treasurer, this is section 14-54, subsection 2 on page 131. It indicates the township treasurer shall cause an investigation to be completed to determine whether any property taxes or income taxes. How would the treasurer investigate a person's personal income taxes?
You wouldn't do any impact taxes if the township were to have an income tax, as some communities do, that would be applicable, but yeah, that could be
So like
removed.
a local income tax?
Correct, so that can be removed.
Page 12, which is page 132. It indicates on subsection C, the township may require professional studies to be provided and paid for by the applicant should the proposed medical marijuana facility require further examination on the impact of the public's health, safety, or welfare. Such professional evaluations may include, but are not limited to, traffic engineering, survey, and environmental safety. When would that be triggered?
You're gonna likely see that at the planning commission level and a special land use permit, but I thought I better belt and suspender it and put it in here in case something that the board saw was a concern. Let's say that the planning commission didn't see traffic as an issue, but the board had concerns about that issue. It may want to require the applicant to get a survey for a traffic consultant.
And going down on the subsection M, says the financial ability of the applicant to purchase and maintain adequate insurance. I'm assuming that's liability insurance.
Correct. And property insurance as well.
Yeah. And just a slight typo in subsection H. The applicant's experience in operating instead of is operating.
Thank you.
Let's see, moving on.
We have them.
Here. This is a little, the last one I have. But it's not the last one. Page 15, subsection B, 8B, I guess it's 8. Is the applicant the licensee?
And you're under 30-9 or 14
1459.
1459, see?
Looks like B, it's just subsection B.
Okay.
Page 135.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it says, when notice of possible suspension or revocation stating the cause or causes of suspension or revocation shall be mailed to the licensee's address. So I would assume that would be the applicant?
Yeah, so this contemplates that a license has already been issued. So let's say there's a violation of the ordinance, either in this article or some other article, a violation we made. The person is now a licensee, they do have that property rights, that's the notice to whom you'd be mailing to.
Okay, almost finished, Supervisor Curtis.
You're fine.
Okay. On page 16, subsection D5 indicates this section shall be administered and enforced by the ordinance enforcement officer of the township or by such other persons as designated by the township board from time to time. Could that be changed to township supervisor, and should it be?
That's a good question. It's more of a question for you to decide. Okay. Because, it may be something you want to change as you move forward. The idea is, one of the things you need to think about is actually applying this ordinance to it and who you're going to have in charge of doing it. It could be any number of people. Go ahead.
I think he's trying to hone it in as to, let's call it person A or person B.
Okay.
The ordinance enforcement officer or the building official or the supervisor.
I'm sorry. Yes,
Right?
that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, one person.
Let's hone it in. Let's see. Now, within this ordinance, it indicates that the clerk has a whole lot of responsibilities here, if this ordinance goes through, one of the questions I have is, should there be 3 separate applications depending on whether you're a grower, transporter, or a provisioning center?
I don't think it's necessary to have 3 separate applications. I think you'd have one application with 3 alternatives within it. Because all the review criteria are the same for a licensee. The items that we've talked about, they have to have the special land use permit, the insurance requirements, all those kinds of things are unique, are common through all the applicant licensees. But it would be more of a selection form, probably A, B, or C type thing within the form itself.
And would that application be created by the clerk, or?
I would anticipate that you probably want the attorneys or the clerk's office to do it together and do it. I haven't really gotten into that yet because I don't really want to spend the effort on it if we don't sure where it's even going forward. So,
I would say this, that this was well drafted. I think it's thorough. When you compare it to the legal liquor license ordinance, I think it has more stringent requirements, more checks and balances to go into something like this, because it's a topic that has been expressed in by having potentially a record crowd in this room that says this is a big topic to make a big decision on, and we've been entrusted to do that as trustees of this township. So thank you to our Supervisor Curtis for the time, and
Okay.
we'll rest.
One, I'll ask some questions. In one of the latest court rulings, we found that benevolence to the township or municipality is oftentimes weighed as beneficial to applicants receiving a license. Is that okay to put that in the license requirement? If I don't want to call it a legal bribe, but is there something that can be?
I'm uncomfortable with any specific,
benevolence.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. I mean, and obviously an applicant's welcome to do whatever, donations to whatever park program, whatever. But I would caution this board from making any quid pro quo type relationships associated.
Okay. I have some comments on the zoning ordinances. Freestanding to meet the goals of developing and revitalizing the underutilized and economically distressed areas of commercially zoned properties within the township. Freestanding in section 5.35D.3 should be defined as single use, single occupant, commercial standalone structure. Provisioning center should be specifically not allowed in duplex, multi-tenant space, or strip malls. Number 2, windows. I think we talked about that one already. Number 3, ancillary sales. To make it most convenient for patients, section 5.35I.3, I'll give you a copy of this so you don't have to write it all down, should be revised to allow provisioning centers to sell all items under the state law. They can't sell cigarettes, but they can sell anything that's allowed by the state.
I might recommend that it be a little more specific, and we can talk about this further as we present it back, but, a little more narrowly tailored so you're not getting, people have a tendency to expand. Let's put it
Right,
that way.
that's what we want to watch. Access to facilities. As currently written, this provision should not permit qualifying patients access to medical marijuana provisioning centers. This section should be revised to ensure that qualifying patients are permitted to access to medical marijuana provisioning centers. I think the words were tripped up there and it looked different. Section 5.35I.12 signage to remain consistent with our township sign ordinances. Section 5.35I.12 should be revised to allow provisioning center to have the same permissions for wall signs and monument signs as all other retail establishments in the township. The last one, section 5.35J.4, vacant buildings. To meet the goals of developing and revitalizing the underutilized and economically distressed areas of commercially zoned properties within the township, section 5.35J.4 should be revised to require that a plan showing any building to house a provisioning center is either new construction or the redevelopment or revitalization of an existing vacant single-use, single-occupant, commercial standalone structure, and the building shall have been vacant for more than 12 months. The mission behind what I did was I took those items specifically to enhance and revitalize the areas that have been vacant for upwards of 12 to 15 years and are currently non-vacant. So everybody's had a chance to talk in the audience. Everybody's asked questions up here. I move to set a second reading and possible adoption of the Code of Ordinances 132.001 for the May 11th, 2022 Charter Township of Oxford Board of Trustees regular meeting and refer the zoning ordinance amendment 67A.028 back to the Planning Commission for review of the most recent proposed changes.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Curtis, second by Trustee Payne. Roll call, please.
Trustee Colvin.
Yes.
Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari.
No.
Clerk Wright, yes, and Supervisor Curtis.
Yes. Motion carries.
Check, we're going with 4, not 3.
Not yet.
Not yet. Second reading, we're gonna
Well, then we talk
review it.
about that.
It's all these items that we wrote down right here.
So those all come to us back to review again.
Second reading.
Okay.
Yes, so you have some reading to do.
Got it?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call a brief recess so that everybody that wants to take off, you're welcome to leave or you're welcome to stay. It's such a great meeting that we chair here. I know that you have other things to do, but if you want to stay, you're welcome to stay. If you'd like to take 5 minutes and take off, you're more than welcome to. Thank you very much. Okay, 5 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna call us back to order. The room is cleared out. Yeah, we got the two most important people back there, so we'll get on them.
O'Brien and Tom?
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Item 9A, sewer ordinance.
Number 195,
Thank you.
the electronic.
It's hard to see.
9A, second reading, sewer ordinance 107A.00008. Clerk Wright?
This is the second reading and possible adoption of our sewer ordinance 107A.008. And Attorney Rentrop has put extensive time to get it to this point. And based upon the last meeting that we had, the only issue was the updated map, which was received and is included in your packet. It was not able to be inserted into the ordinance the way it's set up. And that's the only change. And that'll be inserted once the supplement is created by Municode. A couple items that were changed for highlighting is a lot of name changes were made. DEQ to Eagle, Oakland County Drain Commission to Water Resources Commission, Detroit Water and Sewer Department to the GLWA, and some sections where the building inspector were changed to the township engineer. We also made the billing and collection section generic, so it's not pinpointed to a certain date. We changed some of the utilization of where the revenues are going to be going for sewer revenues. As I stated, we updated the map, and we also inserted Ordinance 84, which is referenced in Section 62.84, subsection C. So with that, if you would, I will make a motion to adopt Ordinance 107A.008, amending and restating Chapter 62, Article 3 in its entirety of the Oxford Charter Township Code of Ordinances as presented.
Second.
Moved by Clerk Wright, seconded by Trustee Nold. We need a roll call, don't we?
Yeah, we'll take one.
We need a roll call.
Yep. Trustee Colvin.
Yes.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Supervisor Curtis.
Yes. Item 10, 10A, Fire Department EMS cost recovery fee schedule. Fire Chief Schultz.
Evening, Board.
Evening.
I have in front of you our proposed fee changes and adoption by resolution. We review this every couple of years. The information is sent to us by Acumed Group. They're the ones that do the billing for us. Everything that is based on is what the Blue Cross Blue Shield is what they're currently paying Medicaid and Medicare. And that's what the fees are based upon. So we're going with the recommended rates. The highlighted versions in the yellow is what the increases are reflecting.
Going to.
I move to adopt the EMS cost recovery fee schedule in reference to Section 26-18 of Chapter 26, Fire Prevention and Protection of the Oxford Charter Township Code of Ordinances to be effective immediately, replacing the EMS cost recovery fee schedule that was adopted by the Charter Township of Oxford Board of Trustees on January 9th, 2019, attached to April 1st, 2022 EMS cost recovery fee schedule as appendix to the minutes.
Second.
Moved by Treasurer Ferrari, seconded by Trustee Nold. Are there any questions? Yes, sir. Clerk Wright.
Yes, in your ALS non-emergency line there for current non-resident, you're changing the fee from $700 to $650. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So it's going down.
Lost money this month.
All right.
Okay. Roll call?
Clerk Wright, yes. Supervisor Curtis.
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Trustee Colvin.
Yes.
Trustee Charles.
Yes.
All right, here's the fun one tonight.
It has been a year now since we have hired the new Assistant Chief, Matt Majestic. He's gone through the entire year. So far, he's hung out still, and he hasn't run out the door screaming behind with everything that's gone on with the past year and what we've put him through and everything. So going through his contract is looking to renew it, and it's an open-ended contract which can be renewed at any point in time or renegotiate at the end of the year, taking the light and everything. So with that, took into the same 6% raise and rounded that everybody township would get. So
I move to approve the employment agreement between Matthew Majestic and the Charter Township of Oxford as presented, commencing April 20th, 2022 and authorize Supervisor Jack Curtis sign the employment agreement on behalf of the Charter Township of Oxford.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari, a second by Trustee Charles. Clerk Red, I saw your hand up.
Yeah, I did, and in reviewing this at the last minute, just a point of clarification. In subsection 5C, you're only offering your insurance to the employee and the spouse, where currently the eligible dependents are in the current contract. So I don't know whether or not you intended this just to be employee and spouse, or to mirror the existing contract.
No, it should mirror the existing one where it does include as dependents, so.
Yeah, I think we.
So if we can make that.
You-
Yep.
Forgot to
We
include
did, but in this, the way this is written.
Correct. They got
So
left
you
out.
amend that?
Yes.
I'll amend my motion for item C to add the employee and his family.
And
Do we
then,
need a second to the amendment?
Mr. Charles.
and then you'll vote on the amended
So I'll
motion
second
first.
that. Okay.
And then also one more item in there, indicating that if we pay an employee equal to 50% of the premium cost. Otherwise, for a single person, it's a sliding scale for the payment based upon age now. So as long as we're aware of that.
Yes.
So it probably won't happen, but
Correct.
I don't know that. So
Okay, are there any other questions? I have one. What's the capacity of the room? It was fine, wasn't it?
Well,
Absolutely.
technically, the room, we could have more rows of chairs in here, so we were probably looking.
Thank you. All right. I have a motion and a second, amended motion and an amended second. Roll call?
Trustee Colvin?
Yes.
Trustee Noel?
Yes.
Supervisor Curtis?
Yes.
Trustee Charles?
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Treasurer Ferrari?
Yes.
And Trustee Payne?
Yes.
Sheriff Engineering Report.
Excuse me.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Technically, what you were voting on was that amendment.
Correct.
So we
You
have to
now
vote on
need
the,
to vote
Vote on the actual contract.
on the contract.
Okay. All right, I look for a motion.
Already there.
we already did that.
It's already there.
The motion's there, the second's there, you just have to vote
We have
on
to
it. So
vote.
you had to vote on the amendment first.
Thank you, Susan. A motion by Treasurer Ferrari, second by Trustee Charles on the contract as amended. Roll call.
Supervisor Curtis?
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Treasurer Ferrari?
Yes.
Trustee Noel?
Yes.
Trustee Payne?
Yes.
Trustee Charles?
Yes.
Trustee Colvin?
Yes.
Matt, your first assignment is get us back to the table for the union contract.
Right.
Makes well.
We got a date?
Okay, Sharp Engineering
Send
Report.
send Margie and I emails, please.
Nothing additional other than what's on the agenda tonight, unless you have any questions for me.
Thank you, Jim. Unfinished business, item 12A, North Area Sanitary Sewer Special Assessment District. Jim, you want to come up? If there are any questions, we'll address it. We're moving the sewer line north from Harriet to Dunlap Road, approximately 6,500 feet, Jim?
Supervisor Curtis, could you, before, what page? I can't quite see it up there.
263 is that?
Yeah, there's a glare there, so I can't always.
263.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, it's probably off my head.
Mine too.
Yeah.
We had a three-way glare.
Yeah, as Gary had indicated previously, it's going to be a new 18-inch sanitary sewer line that's going to extend from approximately Gateway Drive up to Dunlap Road. It's about 7,000 feet of new sanitary sewer.
I move to approve the Special Assessment District Resolution Number 2, including Exhibit A and Exhibit B, as presented in regard to a sanitary sewer project commencing from an existing manhole located at the southwest corner of parcel P0422200004, extending northerly to a point near the intersection of Lapeer Road and Dunlap Road.
Second.
I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari, a second by Trustee Noel. Are there any questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Treasurer Ferrari?
Yes.
Trustee Noel?
Yes.
Trustee Payne?
Yes.
Trustee Colvin?
Yes.
Trustee Charles?
Yes.
Supervisor Curtis?
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes.
Okay, item 12B, American Rescue Plan Act, the AR PA, Clerk Wright?
Yes.
We'll wait till you get there.
Okay, thank you. What we are bringing back is that our motion that we presented at the March meeting was not specific enough, it wasn't broad enough, I should say. And what we're trying to do now is broaden that ability to utilize our attorney. So with that, what we're doing is requesting the board to approve a motion to actually expand this motion. And I guess I'll make that motion, and if there's any discussion, we'll move it from that.
Okay.
I'll move that in addition to the legal counsel guidance to provide direction for the ability to provide American Rescue Plan Act funds to qualifying Oxford businesses that provide resources to the Oxford community following the November 30th, 2021 incident at the Oxford High School, in an amount not to exceed $8,000. That legal counsel also review and provide direction on the previously Oxford Township Board of Trustees approved use of American Rescue Funds, and to allow legal counsel to assist in reviewing any future funds that are received, any future American Rescue Plan Act funds that are received by the Charter Township of Oxford.
Second. Excuse me, were you done?
Motion by Clerk Wright, a second by Trustee Knoll. Questions? I want to start with one. In the American Rescue Plan Act, it allows you to place some of your monies allocated to you aside for special attorney or fees to make sure, legal counsel, that you are making the right decision in your reporting. That was left out in the previous meeting's motion, and we're just trying to clean that up now. So, any questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Trustee Colvin.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Supervisor Curtis.
Yes.
And Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Item 12C, procurement policy.
Procurement policy, this was drafted and put for your review. The only comment that was received back was in, I want to say, section 5. Where was it? Right here, 5B. Vendor selection for the purchase of goods and services valued greater than $3,500.01 to $20,000 shall, if requested. The question was, who is requesting? Who would be requesting? So we're looking for how to fill that in by the board. And then if there's any other comments, I think not only by the board, but I believe the fire department is looking for us to create something like this, if I'm not mistaken.
That's, yes.
So I don't know if they have any comments on what this policy, how the layout looks. But it's for discussion, and if the board is good with this, we'll live with it. If not, then it's time to make our changes. Or
The procurement policy was brought to us because we are applying for a grant at the fire department. And in order to qualify for the grant, a procurement policy must be in place at the township for FEMA grants, yes. So I'll go down the road. Treasurer Ferrari?
For that, Chris, I like to have may require a minimum of 3 written quotes. Let's say Supervisor Curtis has something he needs done now. Only this person can do it. I want to handcuff him to say, sorry, Jack, got to be 3 quotes.
Well,
that's what may.
Well,
let me trailer on his so we can talk about this. The last bids that we've had in here, from the safety path repair to the cemetery tree cutting, we've had 2 safety path people bid on the job. Well, that would stop you from doing the job.
Exactly.
And what it is these guys, these companies are so busy that they don't even want to bid the job. And Jim,
Yeah, they're definitely weighing what jobs they're going after, and they know their competition and whether it's worth their time to put forth a bid.
That's why I like may.
May.
So we're not handcuffing ourselves.
So,
yes, trust.
What if we just did something like RFP needs to be prepared, And instead of putting may or should, we just say an RFP, a request for bids needs to be put out,
If we have one bid, it's one bid.
and so be it.
I can live with that.
I agree with Trustee Payne.
I do too. I think it makes sense. And I know on the DDA board, we've had some issues where when we do facade grants and things like that, you know, our rules there require 3 bids, but we've had a hard time getting 3 bids in some circumstances.
Thank you.
Across the country.
So this language will read, may require written quotes, require regardless of who requests them.
We could change that right now to say may require written quotes or should require written quotes.
Will require.
Shall
How about or
require.
prefer? Whatever.
Shall or will?
I think we definitely have to have written quotes.
Shall require?
Except in
Pete,
emergency.
come on up. You're dragging this meeting out.
Sorry. This is all comes from FEMA with us. So the one grant that we currently have in place was the AFG Grant S, which was for all the PPE stuff during COVID, for all the masks and gowns and so on and so forth. And during that time, there was a lot of it when it was really hectic that I couldn't get quotes from anybody. I mean, it was just because it changed so much and it was so limited. The costs were all over the place. And so FEMA's the one that's requiring this, you know, to be put in place. So I went to Orion Fire Chief, talked to him. This is a copy, or pretty darn close to what exactly Orion was using. That's where we, you know, came up real dirty and quick on it to come forward. But basically, this is a piece of, you know, FEMA on their grants. Also, even some of the other, that federal money that we're getting reimbursed from for the school, obviously procurement stuff has to be on records for that stuff too. So that's just why it's coming forward.
So what is your recommendation, Chief, so that we can get this procurement procedure down so that we can get some FEMA grants?
I agree. The purchasing issue as far as binding it is extremely tight on some things because, again, I'm dealing with the same thing. I can't get guys to bid, or at the same time, I've got people that can't supply anything. So I've got, you know, you ask for bids and, oh, yeah, sure, we'll give you a bid, but we can't get it to you for over a year. So it's been frustrating all along. So
Pete, my concern is that let's say you've got something coming out. I'll do it for 4,000. Well, I got to get 3 more quotes. I forget it.
exactly.
I'm not waiting. I'm out.
Yeah. So I mean,
We have one coming up here that I'm gonna show you what happened. And if we change that, Margie, to May, I think if it comes, we can't spend over 3,500.
correct.
So if you change it to May, it's gotta come here anyway. And we would request it to go to quote, but may require up to 3, gives us a little softer.
Well, Jack may have verbals.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
I can do for
eliminates,
3.
it eliminates verbals because we have to come here for 3,500 anyway,
Exactly.
according to township policy. Yes, Clerk Wright.
Yeah, in the statement, the last statement H says the Charter Township of Oxford Board of Trustees shall have the discretion to waive the bid process or request for proposal process.
So we don't have to change it.
So
No, so you're good. You're covered there in the
That
last
leaves you
one.
the
So that's
out.
what I was
Okay,
gonna get down
we're all good. Everybody, any more questions?
The first part, does this pertain to everybody? It says fire department, parks and rec, library, cable, schools.
what that intention was,
If you go for a FEMA grant,
yeah, but what it is that allows for cooperative purchasing, and it's just mentioning those municipal entities.
So they don't have to abide by this.
No,
Okay.
no, it's giving, that's why it's in parentheses,
Okay.
indicating that, for example, we buy salt from the schools. Maybe Parks and Rec wants to buy salt from the schools, and if you use this policy, then it would be a level playing field to actually make the purchase and everybody benefits out of it. So it's not saying that.
so we don't have to, is everybody comfortable? We don't have to change anything?
I think it is.
With that, they're shaking their heads, yes. No, I'm not asking those two, I'll get billed.
I move to approve the Charter Township of Oxford procurement policy as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's motion by Treasurer Ferrari, second by Trustee Payne. Any questions? Roll call.
Trustee Colvin.
Yes.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Supervisor Curtis.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes, and Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Okay, unfinished business. 12D, compensation and performance evaluation form approval. Trustee Colvin.
Yeah, okay. The committee met and discussed evaluating township employees and updating the forms. And in my most recent corporate experience, what people are using now is called a 9-box. And basically it's just a scale that helps determine where employees fall. And it uses two things. It uses results, but it also uses behaviors. And I come from an ethics background, and I can tell you achieving results without actually looking at the behaviors that got them there can be a big problem. You end up with an end justifies the means kind of situation, so you don't want that. So we reviewed the forms and we came up with, I guess, 7 questions that look at results and 7 questions that evaluate behaviors. And then we chose to scale it, and we can scale it, and we, depending on how you rate, you end up somewhere in the 9-box, and that's how you're evaluated. We also decided that employees should be able to give their input before going through just having the supervisor. The employees should be able to say, hey, here's my accomplishments first, and then they can review them together. It allows for more collaboration, and hopefully everyone will end up on the same page in the process. Supervisor Curtis, we discussed changing the scale to be 3 points, and it's still the 5-point scale on here for the questions.
For the, back down to the question, go to the questions, right there.
Yeah, we had discussed only having a 3-point.
3 for exceptional.
And then there was proficient, and then unsatisfactory was 1, and then there was a 0. Or 0 was unsatisfactory, 1 was insufficient.
Okay. Can we amend that and vote on it?
Sure.
What are we supposed to do?
3-point scale instead of a 5.
Okay.
But what's included? Exceptional, proficient, and,
Exceptional,
okay.
proficient, and unsatisfactory was 1, or, and inconsistent. Unsatisfactory would be a 0.
Thank you. How did I not miss? Yes, sir.
So I get this straight. Unsatisfactory is 0. Inconsistent is 1.
Right, proficient and exceptional. I think we eliminated highly effective.
So if
We
inconsistent.
eliminated highly effective.
Okay, got it. Okay.
So you have exceptional, proficient, inconsistent, and unsatisfactory. Unsatisfactory is 0. Inconsistent is 1. Proficient is 2. And exceptional is 3. So if you...
Put that in a motion.
You got that in a motion?
Yes, I don't know how to put that in a motion.
Make it satisfactory, okay?
With the changes discussed.
Well, yeah, but poor Susan's gonna be like, huh?
I already have it written down.
Oh, you're
You have it
okay?
written down? Okay.
You know what
So
I'm looking
moved.
Susan doesn't want that probably. I move to approve the Charter Township of Oxford Municipal Scale Performance Review Form and 9-box matrix as amended with the changes to the numbering system as discussed.
Second.
Who was that second?
Mr. Knoll.
Okay, I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari, a second by Trustee Nold. Any questions? One thing that was brought up is, will the supervisors or department heads have some training on what we expect? Yes, we will. We're all gonna sit down and talk about this. The method behind the madness will be discussed.
Thank you.
Okay, no questions? Roll call.
Supervisor Curtis.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Trustee Colvin.
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Trustee Charles.
Yes.
And Trustee Payne.
Yes.
We're getting close. Item 12E, Spongy Moth funding approval.
What's a spongy moth?
I know it is Gypsy.
Formerly announced as.
By Mantria Dispar.
Formerly known as, yes.
Okay, Clerk Wright?
Yes, Spongy Moth program will be getting started next month because that's when the larvae starts to hatch and produce gypsy moths. And what we've done in your packet is showing an application that was sent to Oakland County to get into the spray program for 2022. And we've requested a $30,000 match to offset our cost. We submitted a total of approximately 446 acres. I'll show you the 3 maps of the areas that we submitted. This is Area 1 between Lakeville Road and East Drainer Road, bordering Bar Road. That was approximately 138 acres, as you can see here, circled. The next area is an area up on Ray Road, bordering Addis Township, also by Delano Road, approximately 102 acres. And the last area is a lot of narrow swaths along some traveled roads up in the northern area of Oxford Township, around the Horseshoe Lake in the Detroit Sportsman's Congress there, down by Oakland Lake Park and such, and that's a little over 200 acres. The estimated cost per spray acre was $120.67 to be confirmed. So with that totaled to be roughly $53,000 and a little bit more, $53,818.82 if the total cost comes in at that rate at those acres. And if the county matches that amount, then we will be reimbursed 50%, and our cost out of pocket will be $26,909.41. And as you're aware, the board approved $150,000 of funding for this issue. So it looks like we're well within range of covering the cost, depending on what that dollar figure comes in at. And fellow member Charles, do you have anything else you want to add?
You know, as we said before, it's been a long process to do this over the last year and a half. It's been very successful, and when we finish this, I'm going to miss driving around the township on muddy roads with Clerk Wright looking for bugs. But it's been kind of interesting and educational to look for these critters. But Curtis Wright has done a great job. I appreciate it. And as he said, we've saved a lot of money on this, a lot of money. So
I think Supervisor Curtis is looking for a pothole surveyor.
They're easier to find.
Especially on your street.
Yes, especially on Beamer Court.
You know, all kidding aside, Rod and Trustee Charles and Clerk Wright, along with Danielle from the supervisor's office, and all of the people that went out and did the surveying for these bugs. It wasn't the best time of year to do it. It wasn't under the most pleasant conditions. And sometimes people aren't all that fun to work with. And it came to fruition with us working through our county commissioner, Mike Spiz, who got funds allocated to Oxford, working closely with them. We got a lot of money allocated through Oakland County. And Rod, Curtis, Danielle, Mike Spiz, we've all worked hard to get that number down. As we were led to believe, it may cost us up to $150,000, and as you can see, it may be down as low as $26,000. So, congratulations to the team who did that.
I move to approve the participation in the Oakland County 2022 Moth Suppression Grant Program. All costs associated for the treatment of spongy moths shall be expensed to General Fund 101-531-803.000, spongy moth spraying.
Second.
Moved by Treasurer Ferrari, seconded by Clerk Wright. Any questions? Seeing none. Roll call, please.
Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Supervisor Curtis.
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Trustee Knoll.
Yes.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
And Trustee Colvin.
Yes.
Okay. Here we go. Item 13A. Camera updates to the township surveillance equipment. Supervisor Curtis and Sergeant Meza. We have in front of us, board members, the two leaders from the Oxford Township substation from the Oakland County Sheriff, talking about some camera updates tonight.
Good morning or evening. So basically, our substation has had its cameras since 2015. They were asked in February of this year. It was kind of brought up that our substation camera system might be kind of outdated due to some high-profile interviews that were conducted due to the graininess and interrupted by fans that were inside of the building. There was also a question as to whether we were in compliance or not. we were found to be in compliance, but updates are certainly needed. They quoted us $23,920 from the Oakland County to basically come out and fix our camera systems. Supervisor Curtis kindly went out and researched other areas and other places to get better quotes. He found one for $13,074.92 from Ron Perone from C4 Surveillance. And those system updates would obviously continue with our minimum standards meeting the criteria for MCOLs, as well as giving us a lot of actually needed updates, like a 360-degree cameras inside of our interview rooms to completely document the room and any dead space in there. It would give 2 extra cameras out in the parking lot for individuals that are coming in and to keep the deputy safe, or to, you know, monitor any kind of other things that happen outside. Some lights.
I hate that we need this.
Let me help you out. We also, why this was found to be such a savings, we have had a company who installed the cameras years ago. One of the cameras was flickering and breaking, and I called them and I asked them to come out 3 times. They didn't come out. I called them the 4th time and said, listen, you know, we're going to bid out this project, and it's a project for the Oakland County Sheriff's Department. We need 2 new cameras. We're not going to bid it. And we can't make it out to fix your camera. So speed is of the essence. We're already behind the 8 ball here with the county prosecutor ordering us to have the right cameras in place. So we moved expeditiously forward, and we found CS4 Electronics, who handles these cameras, and you can see that by their quote, they're identical recorders, cameras, and we ran this in front of the county commissioner or county sheriff, and it was Captain Bart Wilson who said, okay by me, it meets the requirements at less a cost. So we saved over $10,000 from what the county charged us. We'd like to move forward with the installation of the cameras.
I move to approve the quote from.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Maybe Margie's got something to add to it.
Yes, ma'am.
But did we get 3 quotes?
We had 3 people give us quotes.
Okay.
The 3rd person denied to bid.
Okay.
That's the problem.
Yeah. Yes, Clerk Wright.
Our procurement policy wasn't in place either.
It is now, though.
And thank you to Supervisor Curtis. Thank you for your effort to save some cash.
I move to approve the quote from CS4 Electronics to update the camera systems in the Oakland County Sheriff's Office substation, the amount of $12,561.89. This $12,561.89 amount to be expensed to police contracting account 207-302-976.000, additions and improvements.
Second.
Motion by Treasurer Ferrari, a second by Trustee Nold. Are there any questions?
I have a quick question.
Yes, sir.
What happens to the old cameras?
Good question. Would you like them?
No, I don't want them. Maybe we donate them to the school or somebody else in the area.
We'll bring them up to my office, Rod, and we'll leave them sit there, and when we find somebody that might need one,
Seriously.
we'll replace them. Yeah.
Sure.
You might want to use those for spares. We'll talk to the technician when he comes out. He's been very helpful. As far as, you know, there's also there's the same cameras that the township went with, so that we might want to hold on, because one started messing up that he kind of had to address out in the vestibule area.
Sure.
So we might want to just keep those along for spares to keep the cost down to the township and everybody's budget, to keep those in case we need to plug them in so we can keep everybody operational. Because, you know, as the motion goes, it'll automatically record as this motion goes, especially up here. So we don't want any downtime. If somebody comes in and they're paying taxes, or there's an issue, or there's like a scam going on, we want to make sure that's recorded 24/7.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
That's why they're a great pair. They work good together.
So as
Any
Mez
other
told him what to
questions?
say, right?
Yeah. Oh, I got a fast car now. I got to be nice to them. Any other questions?
We're good.
Okay, go ahead.
Motion's already there.
All right. Roll call.
Clerk Wright, yes. Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Trustee Colvin.
Yes.
And Supervisor Curtis.
Yes. 13C, North Oakland County Transportation Authority, August 2nd, 2022 ballot language. Clerk Wright?
NOTA has requested to put the renewal of their millage on the August 2nd, 2022 ballot, the primary election. And in front of you is the proposed language. In your packet, I had some wrong numbers, so I reissued you the correct millage that will be proposed for being levied. And that is proposed at 0.2315. And I had to revise the resolution as well because the numbers were incorrect. So what I'll do is I'll move to approve the resolution authorizing the North Oakland Transportation Authority millage renewal request to be placed on the August 2nd, 2022 primary election ballot, changing the renewal millage from 0.2341 to 0.2315, and to replace the ballot language as stated on the resolution with the following ballot language. North Oakland Transportation Authority millage renewal shall the Charter Township of Oxford, consistent with Article 9, Section 6 of the Michigan Constitution, be authorized to renew a levy of up to 0.2315 mil, which is 0.2315 times $1,000 on the taxable value of property located in the Township of Oxford for a period of 5 years from 2024 through 2028 inclusive, for the purpose of funding capital and operating expenses for transportation services provided to seniors, disabled or low-income residents by the North Oakland Transportation Authority. If approved and levied in full, this proposal will provide an estimated revenue of $241,346 in the first year, which shall be dispersed to the North Oakland Transportation Authority, a portion of which by law will be dispersed to the Village of Oxford Downtown Development Authority. Yes, no, to be placed on the August 2nd, 2022 primary election ballot for the Charter Township of Oxford and the Village of Oxford.
Second.
Motion by Clerk Wright, second by Trustee Payne. Are there any questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Colvin. Yes. Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Supervisor Curtis.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. And Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Okay. Item 13D, Oxford Township Support Emergency Operation Plan Amendments. Working with Chief and Assistant Chief, we took our Oakland County Emergency Operations Manual, updated it with names, telephone numbers, contact information, so that we provide them with accurate contacts throughout any emergency. Board members, in front of you, you can read and see where we've added supervisor and names like that, and assistant chief.
I move to approve the resolution to adopt the Oxford Township Support Emergency Operations Plan dated April 14th, 2022 as presented. Authorize Supervisor Jack Curtis and any other Oxford Township officials to sign the Oxford Township Support Emergency Operations Plan as required.
Second.
I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari, a second by Trustee Nold. Questions? Clerk Wright?
Yes, considering Chief Schultz still retires at the end of the year, does this document need to be updated?
Until Chief Schultz retires, it'll remain this way.
And then,
We'll change it again.
okay,
You can change his
At
mind.
such time in the future, then, you can do it by just that page, wherever my signature is, can be changed out, and depending on what else takes place with assistant chief and such at that time, you can do it by just the page and send it down, you don't have to redo the entire
Do
thing.
the whole thing.
and it doesn't reset the 4-year requirement?
No, no, and this will be good for 4 years then.
Okay. To be renewed in 2026, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion on the floor, correct?
Yes. Second.
And a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, hearing none, motion carries. Item 13E, road graveling. Board members, every year, the road commission comes around and wants to improve our roads, but we have to help pay for it. So what we did was we called upon the new foreman from the Road Commission of Oakland County, Colin Campbell, He's the maintenance foreman, and he recommended that the following roads be included in the Oakland County Road Graveling Program for 2022. Number 1, Coates Road between Drainer and Seymour Lake Road. Number 2, West Drainer Road between Sanders and Baldwin. I've yet to get a consistent price from or a current price for the graveling. We took we've guesstimated it and come across with it being funded by 1/3 each from Road Commission of Oakland County and Oakland County and Oxford Township. Oxford Township currently has $209,000 in available tri-party funds for the road projects. So,
Jake, remember that email we sent out to from the committee that we snuck into the county's bidding process?
we did,
So we might even get a better price.
correct.
So that'd be even better. I move to participate in the 2022 Oakland County Road Graveling Program. Authorize the Road Commission of Oakland County to place gravel on the following roads: Coates Road between Drainer Road and Seymour Lake Road, and West Drainer Road between Sanders Road and Baldwin Road. The cost of graveling to be paid through the Oakland County Tri-Party Program. Any additional cost shall be expensed to Road Fund Account 204.
Second.
Motion by Treasurer Ferrari, second by Trustee Nold. Are there any questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Supervisor Curtis.
Yes.
Trustee Colvin.
Yes.
And Trustee Payne.
Yes. Item 13F, Mdot Performance Resolution for Municipalities Approvals. Every year they ask us to approve a resolution through Mdot for approval of the performance resolution for municipalities for the purpose of issuing an individual permit for the use of state highway right-of-way. The completed resolution is due May 1st. The following motion is offered for your consideration.
I move to approve the Michigan Department of Transportation Performance Resolution for municipalities as presented.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari, a second by Trustee Charles. Any questions? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Item 13G, acquisition of temporary easements for the water main line on Drainer Road. Board members, we have been working on connecting a loop of a water main from Woods of Tullamore to just east of M24 along Drainer Road. We have been meeting in the Water Sewer Committee, Jim, and discussing this for how long?
18 months.
Okay, we're down to month-to-month meeting with 4 residents of the community that did not want to accept an offer, cash, sewer, water tap. They just did not want us on their property, near their property, or around their property. What we did was we've moved our water main into the road easement. We've met with Road Commission and couldn't put it in the roadway, but moving it into the road right away, there's also utility poles there. So in order to work safely with our contractors and away from these utility lines, we need a 5-foot temporary easement from these 4 homeowners. Currently, 1 homeowner has signed the easement, temporary easement. We have promises from the other 3. This is a parallel path. Working with our attorney, Gary Rentrop, the acquisition of these temporary easements is a parallel path. We need this board's approval to take by eminent domain a temporary construction easement, or these residents will come in and sign. Why we're running on parallel paths is it's been going on for 18 months. And 18 months ago, this project probably would have been $100,000 cheaper. But trying to facilitate with these 4 homeowners, we finally have them down to, look, here's what we're going to do. We're gonna take 5 feet of your temporary yard. We're gonna dig our hole and make it safe for the excavators. We're gonna replace your yard back to the way or better than what the road commission left it 2 years ago. So I think we have their signing of the easements, but we want to get this to go through so that if they don't, or they keep playing hardball with us, we're all done. We need to move forward with connecting this water main. We don't have to execute this if we get those signed documents. Treasurer Ferrari's been going to their home, to the one home, and getting it signed. He is scheduled Saturday to get one signed, and we are scheduled out into next week to get some signed. This is only parallel path. We're going to take this if it's passed by the board, because to make these workers safe, to complete our water line, we're going to have either this or that. We're done. We've worked very hard to get this easement, offering them water taps, money. It doesn't matter. They just don't want anybody out there. They've had a bad experience from the Road Commission of Oakland County, and we are going to make it right after we go through there and put our water main in.
So Jack, for the motion of as presented, may put it as needed. Will that accomplish what you're trying to?
Sure.
Because then if we don't need it, we don't need it.
Right. How's that sound, Gary?
I move to approve the resolution authorizing eminent domain for temporary construction easements as needed.
Second.
Motion by Treasurer Ferrari, second by Trustee Noel. Any questions?
Just one question. Joe, is that modified? I had drafted it in the discretion of the supervisor. He would make that determination.
It's there.
Well, but his motion says as needed. It doesn't incorporate who makes that decision.
Oh.
Is there something new there?
Well, no. Who determines it's needed?
You, as if you can't get your people signed.
Okay, yeah.
Well, hopefully all of them signed, no issues.
Right.
If Supervisor Curtis says John Doe didn't sign, well, it's needed.
Do we have to have that in that motion?
That's what I had thought. That's what I put as needed versus as presented.
Clerk Wright.
And in the resolution, it says the township supervisor is hereby authorized in his discretion as he determines necessary.
Exactly.
So it looks like it gives you that flexibility to move forward.
Any other questions? A motion on a second, right?
Yes, sir.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Colvin.
Yes.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Supervisor Curtis.
Yes.
Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes.
I think that concludes my work. Say good night to y'all.
Good night.
Hans isn't as lucky.
Hans isn't as lucky.
No, he's not.
We'll keep one of you here.
Take care, everybody.
Take care.
Let's see here.
Age has its privilege.
That's right.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you.
Okay, item 13H, cemetery paving project. Who wants to take that?
You and me.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm tired.
Okay, as you recall, board, the approval of American Rescue Plan Act funds for $100,000 were allocated for cemetery improvements, being proposed paving, ditching and drive improvements, and tree replanting. So in front of you is a recommendation from the committee to pave this section of the Oxford Cemetery on the north side, the center drive. And the reason why we are requesting this to be paved is, looking at this picture, you see that pile of dirt. That's what builds up at the low spot on the sidewalk when it rains, and then it filters down. It filters from down this elevation here into the sidewalk, and then it drains right to here, and then it just builds up, causing a safety hazard. So what we're looking from the township board is, I will move to authorize Sharp Engineering to contact H.G. Sarter, the contractor, for the 2022 Safety Path Maintenance Project and provide a quote for the proposed Oxford Cemetery paving project for consideration of approval at the May 11, 2022 Charter Township of Oxford Board of Trustees regular meeting.
I will second that.
Okay, I have a motion by Clerk Wright. I have a second by Treasurer Ferrari. Questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
that cemetery has a lot of elevation.
Yes.
If we put a road in there, asphalt road, the water's going to go somewhere.
But
They're
it
gonna be,
won't bring the gravel.
but it won't bring the gravel. Are we gonna take any provisions to manage the water?
We can work with the contractor to, when they grade it, to pitch it to one side or the other. It's less steep than the driveway that's to the west, that's for sure.
That's
That
correct.
steep. And that's made a big improvement over there when we paved that a few years ago. So we'll work with the contractor to make sure that it's at least pitched best we can into the lawn areas.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Trustee Charles?
I had one more comment. I just wanted to make it clear that in the motion where it talks about approaching HG Sartor, we're not sole sourcing this. They are the contractor that was chosen by this board to do the safety path repair project. So we thought that because they're going to be in the area anyway, paving the safety path on Drainer Road, that we would approach them to see if they could give us a price for this, and if it seemed like a reasonable price in lieu of going out to full bids all over again and stuff for this little piece of paving here. So I don't want it to seem like we're just going after this one contractor. That is the reason why we are going to ask HG Sartor for a price to do this work, which I assume Curtis would then come back to you and to this board for consideration, correct?
If we can get that by May 5th, so we can get it in the board packet.
I think we can probably do that, yep.
When does the safety path project begin? Do you have a schedule?
It's going to begin around the beginning of May. Jack Faith may come out earlier and start some of the boardwalk work, but as far as the asphalt work goes, when the plants start opening up here soon, so we're first on their list, so it'll be sometime in early May.
Are there any other questions? Roll call?
Clerk Wright, yes. Supervisor Curtis?
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari?
Yes.
Trustee Noel?
Yes.
Trustee Payne?
Yes.
Trustee Charles?
Yes.
And Trustee Colvin?
Okay, 13I, replacement of chairs for the boardroom. I bet Joe's gonna vote on this one.
Yes.
Mine does kind of wall around. Kind of
Okay.
like being on a bride.
Go ahead, Trustee Noel.
I'll let the chairs speak for themselves tonight. The second, we're trying to follow protocol with 3,500 to be transparent. So I would like to move to direct Supervisor Jack Curtis and Trustee John Nold to research and purchase a total of 15 chairs. 9 chairs to replace the current chairs used by the Township Board and Planning Commission. That's us. And 6 chairs to be replaced current worn chairs within the Township Hall building, and this includes the Sheriff's Office. The total cost is not to exceed $3,500. This not to exceed $3,500 to be expensed to General Fund account 101-265-977-000 equipment acquisition.
And I'm going to support that with an amendment. The sheriff's office one should be responsible for their shares, for their share of the project. Because you said including the sheriff's department.
We were going to replace them within the building. If it's come to our attention, there's some possibility of sheriff's chairs need to be replaced downstairs, and we were going to do that part of this project.
And you charge it to them.
We'll
I
charge
was-
it to them.
That's fine.
Then I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion by Trustee Noel, a second by Treasurer Ferrari. Questions, Clerk Wright?
So we'll pay for them, and then if they choose to purchase from the township, then they will reimburse the township. Correct?
I have a question too.
Yes, sir, Trustee Charles.
Are you sure that that's enough money for these chairs?
We have been researching the chairs. They have come down dramatically and improved performance over the past few years. These chairs, for example, were $300. We have some new office chairs in there that were $120. We feel it's enough.
All right, because I've purchased them for my office in the past, and they're not cheap if you buy good chairs. So
Super
that's why
chairs.
I'm wondering if this is enough money.
We don't want the gold-plated leather ones.
Oh, Orion Township.
Well, just one, Joe.
Orion
We
Township
don't
chairs,
sit there
John
that
did
long.
some work. Orion Township chairs, they spent how much, John?
$525 a chair.
Yeah, so we didn't want to go that high.
We'll take theirs.
So I called Staples
one
and
home when you
the
go.
numbers range from 176 to 225, depending on what's on sale, and I think we can do better if we buy 15 or so.
Well, buy me one. Can I put an order in as well?
Sure. Okay, I have a motion, I have a second. Any more questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Colvin. Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Supervisor Curtis.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Item 13J, Township Investment Policy, Treasurer Ferrari.
Board members, we need to revise our investment policy due to all the different mergers and that with the different banks involved. You've got our current policy at the end for our resolution, and the one that I'm proposing. That being said, I'll make a motion that the Oxford Township Board of Trustees amend its approved Township Depositories Resolution, effective April 1, 2022, to authorize Treasurer Joseph G. Ferrari to address any follow-up implementation.
Second.
I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari. I have a second by Clerk Wright. Questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Clerk Wright, yes. Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Supervisor Curtis.
Yes.
Trustee Colvin.
Yes.
Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 13K, 2022 West Nile Virus Prevention Program.
Board members, as you can see, we're looking at doing a lot of the same stuff as last year, except we still have some mosquito dunks left over. So we're gonna look at purchasing cases of the Netropel mosquito repellent sprays, have those available for Seymour Celebration.
Question, Clerk Wright.
Is there going to be a limit or unlimited
For what?
for the dunks?
Till we run out.
Go down.
Yeah,
We
but
just
you-
buy 25 cases until they go out. We don't buy any more.
But what I'm saying is, you don't want somebody coming in and saying, I
No,
want
no, we do 6 in the beginning, but then they can come back for another round.
another round of 6?
Yes.
Okay.
My front and my backyard.
Trustee Charles, your question?
I was just saying I could use them in the front of my house as well as the back, but that's fine.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to purchase 25 cases of the mosquito dunks, 12 by 2 packs for $1,146, include shipping. 2 cases of the Natural R XRT tablets for $1,795.40, include shipping, and 32 cases of 12 1 ounce Natropel mosquito repellent sprays for $1,063.68. Total project expenditure is $4,508 with $3,912.38 coming from the Oakland County West Nile Virus Prevention Grant, account number 101-000-072-006 and 9270, and from Oxford Township General Fund, account number 101-531-880.001.
Second.
I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari, a second by Clerk Wright. I have just one thing to add. We're paying $92 for all this stuff out of general fund. The rest comes from a grant, so it's pretty good. Any questions now? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Trustee Colvin.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Trustee Payne.
Yes.
And Supervisor Curtis.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing the West Nile Virus Fund expense reimbursement request as presented.
Second. Moved by Treasurer Ferrari, second by Trustee Noel. Any questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Supervisor Curtis.
Yes.
Trustee Charles.
Yes.
And Trustee Colvin.
Yes.
Item 14, items removed from the consent agenda. We had none. Item 15, in closing, public comment. Are there any comments from the public?
Good evening. It's been a heck of a year, and I want to thank you for your continued support and renewal of my contract. It's been a challenge to say the least, but it's one that I can't say I've enjoyed it, right? And you know, I can't say I've enjoyed it, right? And you know, and we all know why. But I have to say it's been a challenge that I'm glad that I've received your support to continue moving forward. So thank you for that. And since you already did that, one of the things we found out through the emergency operations plan is that we are lacking as a community in our leadership from elected officials in your compliance with training and understanding in the National Incident Management System and the Incident Command System that we found out through the emergency operations through Kevin Sadaj from the county. And there is a host of classes, 8 in total actually, 6 of which are all online, which I think all of the electeds would benefit from doing the online, especially there are 2 classes, the Basic Emergency Operations Center Functions and Incident Command System Overview for Executive and Senior Officials. That would be extremely beneficial for all of you and your deputies. Sorry. So now I got everybody hating me tonight. But I would, after that, I would also suggest that the supervisor, the clerk, and the treasurer at least probably follow through and finish the 2 in-person classes, Incident Command 300 and 400, which are very beneficial for if we have something, obviously what we experienced in November was one thing, but this would be something more to the relation of a natural disaster, something where we would really have an emergency operations center set up and where we would be having you making decisions on behalf of the township, having you making financial decisions as to how we're going to be handling things, having the clerk determining the language and the manner in which we are doing that as well. So I think it would be very beneficial for all of you to do that.
You sent us the links?
And I'm going to send it in an email.
We're gonna have a message go out.
And just so you know, you can't, the motion was passed under contract, so when you start doing the classes,
We're gonna
not my
revisit
fault.
your contract now.
That's on next month.
I really have to say this, we went through this emergency management protocol, and those guys knew what they were doing.
They're trained
knew.
for it. They're trained for it.
You know what I knew to do? Stay the hell out of their swim lane. If they needed something, get it for them. Whatever they needed, they asked, they got. Whatever they didn't need, I didn't stick my nose in their business. They knew how to run their business. After going through this emergency operations, we learned that we did things pretty right.
Oh, yeah.
You guys did things excellent. We did them pretty good. We made water, we made buildings available, we made resources available. So there are protocols that we should learn and know. And he looked like a little 10th grade kid who got his first thing, and he's over there. You guys need training.
But it does make sense.
Again, I thank you for the support, and
It does.
but if something bad happens from a mostly, and realistically, it'll be a natural disaster type thing, tornado or what have you. We'd need to have some. We need you folks to be a little better prepared from a training standpoint, and have a better understanding of what we're going to be going through and dealing with the rest of Homeland Security and Oakland County Emergency Management and the like. So,
I think I talked to Pete 6 times, and all I said is, "Do you need anything?" No. Are you the emergency operation manager? Yes. I said, "Call me if you need something." And I think he got tired of hearing me, but I didn't know what, here's what have we got to do? And it worked.
But man, it makes sense if we have a tornado hit a certain area. I mean, we might know what to do.
Again, thank you, folks.
Thank
I do
you.
appreciate it.
Okay, so I did it in under 2 hours. Oh, we have one more. Come on up, Brian.
I promise. There's a lot of things I'd like to talk to you about, but I won't. First of all, let me change hats. President of the Historical Society Museum. We, at our last board meeting, discussed the possibility of hosting the cemetery tour again this year. It's been a few years since we've done it. We're looking at going back to the table to redo the part of the early settlers. We would like to do that. The society is interested in doing that. I know that there's a protocol we have to go through with you, so I'll be in touch with whoever I need to talk to do that. But I just wanted to let you know it's coming. Second, a little more complicated, put the library hat back on. Many years ago, we negotiated, the library negotiated with Oakland County Road Commission and Mdot We were able to get signage downtown, wayfinding signs for the library, as well as signage at Pontiac and Burdick Street. So you're saying, why are you asking us about this? Or why are you talking about it's in the village? I get it. The village has been extremely unsuccessful in getting those signs back up. I don't know what's going on with the relationship between the village and Mdot, but Mdot, I guess, I'm getting the word that Mdot is resisting, and they're not doing that. Yes, sir.
Were they taken down when the 24 reconstruction was done?
Yes, and we paid for them initially, so that's why I'm a little perturbed. My question, I guess, is if we can't get them up downtown, can I work with the township in at least getting them at Drainer, maybe, in your jurisdiction, Drainer and M24 and Pontiac and Drainer? I mean, if you go to Lake Orion, the Orion Township Library has these wayfinding signs on M24, so I don't know why all of a sudden Oxford can't. If you go north into Lapeer County, Lapeer District Library has these signs on M24 at Dryden Road. So why is Oxford different? So I might be coming to you to see if we can work together with Mdot and the Oakland County Road Commission to get them in your jurisdiction and move them out of the village, because I'm quite frankly tired of that. The other element too is Clerk Wright, I believe you or someone on your team sent me an email. Forgive me, I can't recall exactly what it said verbatim, but it had something to do with we owe additional funding for the election. Was that correct?
Yeah, there was an additional bill, I think it's $242 or something, that come through from the county, but we just received that bill for that election.
Okay, and I apologize for not understanding what your intent was. Did you want us to pay that bill?
Yeah.
And who are we? Are we paying you or are we paying them directly?
You'd pay them directly.
I think it's a bill from Printing Systems, Inc.
Something like that.
And the county purchases ballots. They pay PSI to print them.
Okay.
Why PSI took so long, that's the first bill we got. It just came through in April. I don't know why it took so long for them to send out their bills.
Well, in the scheme of things, it's a drop in the bucket, and we'll get it paid, but I just wasn't sure if we were paying that or if we were reimbursing you or how that was working. And it probably, you know, it was probably clear, but to me it wasn't clear. So we're paying it directly to them.
I think the confusion was before we paid everything.
Right.
And then you just reimbursed the township. With
Correct.
this one, this is just a single bill.
So you want us to pay it? We'll pay it. Okay, we'll take care of that. And the rest of the stuff I'll bring back to you at another meeting. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Sure. Well, you can't public comment. It's okay. No more public comment. We'll move on to item 16.
I'll make a motion to meet an open session, entertain a motion, take a roll call vote regarding a closed session for the purpose of discussion of pending litigation pursuant to MCL 15.2681E, Great Lakes Senior Living Communities for Charter Township of Oxford, MTT docket number 21-001-953-TT.
Second.
I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari, a second by Trustee Noel to go into closed session. I'll roll call, please.
Point of order.
What?
Usually we will include the recording secretary, attorney Rentrop, and whoever else we want to be part of the closed session.
That's when you make the motion for the closed session.
Okay.
The next motion.
Okay.
That's what you said.
Roll call?
Roll call.
Roll call. Trustee Colvin.
Yes.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Supervisor Curtis.
Yes.
Clerk Wright. Yes. And Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Now then, since we make a motion to go into closed session?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session to discuss the pending Great Lakes Senior Living Communities for Charter Township of Oxford, MTT, and to include the township board members, Attorney Rentrop, Recording Secretary McCullough.
Second.
I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari, a second by Trustee Noel. Roll call, please.
Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Clerk Wright. Yes. Supervisor Curtis.
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Trustee Colvin.
Yes.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going into closed session. So if your name wasn't called, you get to go home. The camera folks, you could turn the camera off, go outside. We'll call you back in when the closed session's over, please.
Just don't forget your windows are open.
Oh, thank you, sir.
That's a good point. services of an appraiser as discussed in the closed session for the tax tribunal matter of Great Lakes Senior Living Communities versus Charter Township of Oxford.
Second.
I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari, a second by Trustee Noel. Any questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Colvin?
Yes.
Trustee Payne?
Yes.
Trustee Noel?
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari?
Yes.
Supervisor Curtis?
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Trustee Charles?
Yes.
Okay, item 17, Board of Trustee comments. I'm going to start with Trustee Colvin tonight.
I just want to say I really struggled with the marijuana provision, and I just want to thank the members of the board that talked with me and helped me come to my conclusion.
That's what we're here for. Thank you. Trustee Payne?
I was very impressed with the supporters tonight that showed up. They were well organized. They spoke well. They kept it to a minimum. They were well prepared. They did such a good job of it. And that's
Super.
it.
Thank you. Trustee Nold?
We had a difficult night tonight, or there a possibility of that, and I think we did very well. We had, the audience was very receptive to work with, and the board did a very good job themselves. Thank you.
Treasurer Ferrari?
Board members, I sent you this email, but pretty proud of the fact that we've only got one parcel in the township going up for tax sale. And that's that one, Jack knows
Flanders?
about it. That's the one we have going up for tax sale. All the others I was able to contact and make sure they got it taken care of, because I never want to be in that spot that Southfield was years ago, where they contact somebody, lost it for a small amount, because nobody told them about his taxes not being there, whether the county didn't notify him, the local, I don't care. I call them all and got hold of everybody, got everybody that was on that list from 2019 to pay.
Do we have first right of refusal on that?
Yes, at the proper value, after the state refuses it.
Okay.
At the current value.
Yep.
Yes, and the board will be looking at that when it gets that far.
It's a very sought after piece. Anything else?
That's it.
Trustee Charles?
Couple of quick things here. First of all, little DDA report. Catherine Colvin had her initiation at our DDA board meeting. Little follow-up, she still has to sing the welcome song.
Don't want me to sing.
Is there one?
We're working on it, though. Second thing, I thank you again to Clerk Wright for all the work he did on Spongy Moth. As we see here, the attention to detail that he brings to the table with his assessment or his review of the marijuana issue there. And then, as everyone said, the folks here, it's nice to see people showing up, see that community engagement. And as we all said, they were polite, and that's how it should be. So that's very much appreciated. One other thing, too, I like going to the SEMCOG meetings. I'm the alternate delegate. I was sick last time. I was on my way back from East Tawas. But anyhow, Joe Ferrari, last minute, thank you for getting over there to attend the SEMCOG meeting. I appreciate it. As I said, I do enjoy going. I would have gone if I could have, but wouldn't have been good to go. Anyhow, thank you very much.
Okay, Clerk Wright?
Yes. Anybody, this is the last call, I'll call it that way. Anybody interested in the vacant trustee position has until 4 p.m. on Tuesday, April 19th to apply to get their name on the August ballot. Also, the township's still looking for ordinance enforcement officer. That position's still out there for anybody who wants to apply. And just wish everybody in the Christian community a good Friday and a happy Easter.
Good point.
Sure. I have a couple. One, the DTE rebate check came. We thought it was going to be about $1,400. They gave us $1,917.48 for changing our lights. That was about 1/3 of the bill. Now our energy savings is guesstimated to pay, and I want to watch this one, Susan. He told me it's going to be a 12-month payoff on our lights. So that'll be great. Gravel roads, frost laws come off tomorrow. We should see a schedule of chloriding and grading. The roads are in terrible shape. I get probably 4 or 5 calls a day, and they aren't calling me friend. As
Partner,
you see,
though.
Yeah, partner. I got called partner today. That was a good one. As you see by this agenda, everybody in this township has been busting their butts to get things done. Things that haven't been in place, things that have been in place that are wrong, things that need to be modified, and things that need to be get on here. We had 21 items on here tonight. I have 5 on my desk that I haven't brought in here yet. We talked about the credit card resolution from 2002. A lot of things need to be done. Everybody here is busting their butt to get this stuff done. So I kept the meeting into 2 hours. We got 30 minutes for Hans. We're going to blame him on that one. But other than that, I want to thank everybody. We've been working hard to get this stuff done, and going out to people's houses to get them signed things, to staying from 6 in the morning till 6 at night. But the township is really working hard, and I thank you for that. Other than that, item 18.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second. Motion by Treasurer Ferrari, second by Trustee Payne. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, hearing none, you can go home.
I'm going to shoot an email out to Tom Noakes about the tri-party to get that contract.